The following broadcast is brought to you in association by XP Coffee Company. XP Coffee Company is the fresh brewed coffee made for gamers by gamers. Get amazing flavors like Choco Loco in 8, 12, or 16-ounce bags, or level up and get Illusion, Isolation, Nightmare, or the Majestic Throne blends in light, medium, or dark roast in whole bean, coarse French press, drip, or fine espresso in 12-ounce, 16-ounce, or 2-pound bags. Wow! Shipping worldwide. If you're in the U.S., go to usa.xpcoffee.co. If you're in Europe or in the U.K., go to www.xpcoffee.co. XP Coffee Company, for gamers, by gamers. What's going on, Tanimals? This is another edition of the Tanndemonium Sports Show here on Vendetta Sports Media. With me, as always, is not only the man himself, Jackson Law, but our special guest, the CEO and president of Vendetta Sports Media, Mr. Trey Daubert. Trey, how the hell are you?
I'm hanging in there. I don't think I've ever been called the president before. That's a new one.
Jackson, what's going on?
Internet issues, man.
Yeah, we were teasing Jackson a little bit.
Rural internet is garbage.
Yeah. I guess you're going to have to move to the city. You got to move to the city.
I had a call with the family. I'm trying to get the laws out of Arkansas. It's a work in progress.
Well, the problem is, though, is that our guest from last week needs Jackson to stay because he's one of his constituents. Yeah, we had Ricky Dale Harrington Jr.,
I just need better internet, man. That's all I ask for.
That's true. Ricky Dale Harrington, a gubernatorial candidate for Arkansas's governor's mansion, was with us last week. And we were having what I like to call, we were having, the uncomfortable conversations about race and how race is in sports. And if you missed that, you definitely want to go to vendettasportsmedia.com. Check out our playlist. Go to the Tanndemonium Sports Show in there and check it out. And we're actually going to start releasing clips of that show on our social media this week. We got Bridget Rounds back. Bridget 12 Rounds is back. So we're going to have her splice up that episode so we can start putting clips of that out there for you guys to hear. Shout out again to Courtney Plummer, who came in and stood in for Bridget last week and having these conversations. And those were conversations we needed to have, Jackson. I really feel we did.
Yeah, no, they were great conversations. I'm glad we had them. I learned a lot. Hopefully we all learned a lot, and we're all better people for it.
The more you know. But no, I mean, absolutely. We all joking aside, we definitely, those were conversations that needed to be had, because the bottom line is that things aren't going to get better until we start having the hard conversations. And if you just hide from it, nothing's going to change. So with that being said, let's get back to talking sports. Nothing really went on in the sports world over the last week that I've seen that would lead us back to having that topical conversation. No diabetes spikes that I can think of. But we are, since Trey's here, that just means that we are, by the time you guys watch this, we are one day away from opening day. And Trey, is there a better feeling in sports than opening day? I mean, opening kickoff for the NFL, that's a cool feeling. I dig it. But there's just something about opening day in Major League Baseball that's just really special.
There is something about opening day. It makes you feel like every team has a chance, even though they don't. You don't feel like that way Pirates. In the NFL.
No. Like, yeah, you know that, like, the Falcons aren't going to win it. You know that the Jets aren't going to win. You know, like, I don't care if the Jaguars do get Trevor Lawrence. Well, they are going to get Trevor Lawrence, but the Jaguars ain't winning nothing this year. Baseball, everyone's got a shot.
If the ball bounces your way that day, you got a shot.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing quite like opening day, except for when Rob Manfred planned opening day in Japan at 3 a.m. and I didn't know about it. That's the only opening day I've missed.
Oh, man. Now, you told us quite a bit about your thoughts on Rob Manfred, and I feel the same way. And matter of fact, I said this on a Twitter feed over the weekend, is that baseball has and I said this on the show with you on here, the biggest issue that baseball has right now is not its stars. Baseball has the stars, but they are not promoting the stars. They are not marketing their stars to a new generation. And that starts on top and works its way down, right or wrong, guys?
Yeah, I think Milo on my episode of That's Some Cheese that just came out, he pointed this out, and I didn't even know this. Swaggy P Nick Young has 5 million more Instagram followers than Mike Trout. That's a problem.
That is a problem. Wow. More people are talking about Lil Nas X right now than they are talking about opening day baseball.
And we're talking about Mike Trout, the best player in his own sport. And there's Swaggy P, who's a nobody out of the league, has 5 million more followers.
Who the hell is Swaggy P? Who is this?
Who did he date? Iggy Azalea, right?
I don't know. Bridget, you ought to know. You're Gen.
I can't remember who he dated.
Right? Swaggy P.
Swaggy P.
And I know I'm saying his name wrong.
Bridget says I have no idea. I think he dated Iggy Azalea. I think that's who he dated.
Nick Young.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Nick Young did, yeah.
He's a little goofball though.
The basketball player Nick Young.
The most famous thing he ever did was he shot a 3, turned around and celebrated, and in the same shot, you just see the ball bounce around the rim and then fly out, and he's just like this, acting like he's made it. That sums up his career pretty much.
That's Swaggy. Okay, that Nick Young. Okay. So what do you think was worse? And I know I'm switching gears, but now we're talking about epic failures. So what do you think is worse, the Swaggy P jump shot miss or the Martin Gramatica field goal celebration and tearing his knee? Which is worse?
Gotta be Gramatica.
Yeah.
Oh man, I got to switch my seat. There we go. That's better. I'm all like off to the side, like chocolate rain. Got to fix that. But so let's talk about a little bit about opening day. I mean, I think it was Adam Frazier from my Pirates has been tearing the cover off the ball.
Yeah, your Pirates
spring training.
Chad Kuhl's the opening day starter.
Yeah, Chad Kuhl.
Chad Kuhl.
He's cool as ice. You're going to ditch that 0 and get a hero. Chad Kuhl. Man, you want to talk about a guy that has like a male stripper name, Chad Kuhl. That is
University of Delaware.
Wow, we're going to Delaware.
Your Pirates are going to be bad.
Yeah, they are.
100 lost, kind of bad.
Wow. You know what? I was listening to Paul Zeiss, who's the evening drive guy, 6 p.m. to, I believe, 9 p.m. here in Pittsburgh on 93.7 The Fan. And he was talking to one of the beat writers here with the Trib here in Pittsburgh. And he goes, it's statistically impossible for the Pirates to lose 100 games because that means that someone in the division has to win 100 games and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, the Pirates will find a way.
The Pirates are going to be very bad.
It's not as bad as when it's not as bad though as when the MLB put out the statistics, like the percentage chances to win the World Series. They were still above the Baltimore Orioles. The Baltimore Orioles had a 0% chance. I think the Pirates had like a 1% chance.
To quote Sidney Dean, played by the great Wesley Snipes, the sun will shine on the dog's ass some days, even with that 1%. Let me see here. I'm on our partner's website now. Symbol.app/Vendetta. Go to symbol.app/Vendetta. And then when you go to make your first deposit, put in our promo code Vendetta to get an additional $10 credit on your first purchase. According to Symbol, the Pirates as a franchise are only worth $18.96. They are among...
I'm pretty sure that's one of the lowest across all the sports that are on Symbol.
It really is. Like, I'm looking for...
You go to all and you filter from low to high, Pirates are like 1 or 2.
Yeah, matter of fact, let me go to all. I'm going there right now. As a matter of fact, hold on. Let me share my screen here. I want you guys to see this. All right, so here I am on Symbol. I have all selected. I only have 3 cents in cash. I'm proud of myself. Low to high.
Yeah,
the Cleveland Cavaliers are the lowest rated team on Symbol. And 6 cents above them are my Pittsburgh Pirates.
Man, you're below the Detroit Lions and Houston Texans.
How do you go below? And the Baltimore Orioles.
And the Tigers.
Wow. And then when you're behind the Tigers,
Pistons. How are
behind the Tigers, the Magic, the Texans, the Lions, and the Orioles. Woo!
Can I just say something? All 3 Detroit teams are under $20. You want to know how bad?
Yeah, only the Pistons
how down
are
Detroit
over
sports are.
Yeah, only the Pistons.
When the NHL is put into here, it's going to be 4 teams under $20.
Yeah, the Red Wings are bad.
Well, the Pistons are at least worth $21, but they're a bid of $19.35. So, oh man, and make sure
no one's paying $21.
No, I'm not paying $21 for the Pistons. I'm probably not even going to pay $18.96 for the Pirates if I decide to put another $20 into my Symbol account.
You got to wait for them to lose a couple more games. Let that stock dip.
Yeah. Oh, but look at my Sim Jets. I bought the Jets for under $20 and they've gone up to $25.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take it. Let's see who's the most expensive. Wow. The Chiefs.
I think it's the Chiefs. Yeah.
The Sim Chiefs. All right. So, hey, listen, guys, go to symbol.com, symbol.app. I keep saying .com. Go to symbol.app/Vendetta. And when you go to make your first deposit, just put in our promo code Vendetta and get an additional $10 credit. Hey, you don't like all the bull crap that goes with doing fantasy sports? The Symbol it's for you. It's basically stock trading with teams. Put your money in. When your team wins, watch their value go up and the payout, it hits you. So make sure you check us out on vendettasportsmedia.com as well, because we're having regular weekly Symbol articles written from some of our experts. So check them out. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit of baseball before, because Bridget Rounds is back and she'll quarter me if I go over. So right about now, so Steve Cohen has gone to Twitter and he wants to know what Francisco Lindor is going to accept. Now, I read the news today that Francisco Lindor, Trey, he came up with a counteroffer. I believe the Mets offered him 10 years, $355 million. He came back with 12 years, $385 million. But the Mets said the $355 is their final offer.
Yeah, I would tell him to go kick rocks. There's just no chance I would give him a 12-year deal. No chance. Even if you look at Lindor's averages, I don't think Bridget maybe can double check this. I don't think he's ever had a year where he's hit over 300. As a shortstop that wants $300 million, you better hit for high average. You better give me 35 home runs. And a year ago, he didn't even have a great year. I think he hit 257, something around that. Yeah, I'd go tell him to kick rocks. So,
yeah, I agree.
Lindor's a great player. I'm not going to take that away from him, but with the way baseball contracts are and the way baseball contracts age, you have to be fantastic and world beating for me to give you that kind of contract. So for him to ask for 12 years, I'm just not doing that.
Yeah, because he's wanting Bryce Harper money. And now I
wouldn't have gave the contract to Bryce Harper either.
No. Now Mike Trout, I would definitely give Mike Trout that much money, because Mike Trout is a once in a generation style player. Like Mike Trout would have dominated in what I call the golden era of baseball. And I'm talking 70s, 80s, 90s. Mike Trout would have dominated. Like I would have loved to have seen Mike Trout on against, say, Roger Clemens in his prime.
Lindor last year, 258. Sorry, not good enough.
No. For a shortstop, for me as an old school baseball guy, yeah, it was a 60. He played only 60 games, 236 at bats, 61 hits, only 27 RBIs, and struck out 41 times and only 8 home runs. No.
Go kick rocks, bud.
Yeah. Because if you want, I want my shortstops to be Ozzie Guillen, like Ozzie Smith. You know, I want a shortstop that's going to hit above 300 Now, if you can't hit for power, I'm okay for that. But you better be getting on base a ton, and you better have some steals. You better have a lot of steals, and you better be a defensive dynamo. I want Ozzie Smith. I want Barry Larkin. Okay, I want A-Rod when he was a kid before he started juicing.
Lindor is a good player. I'm not going to take that away from him, but he's not a 300-something million dollar player. And I'll give this example, and I'm not even trying to be a homer here. I said this the other day. I'm the least biased fan on the site. Xander Bogaerts signed for 6 years, 120, and he hits for 300 almost every year.
Xander Bogaerts is a beast.
I can't give Lindor double that and more than double that. No. Sorry.
Xander Bogaerts. Now, I've sort of followed Xander Bogaerts since he came up in Boston because he started becoming a name when I was still living in the area. And I watched some of his games, and the guy's phenomenal. And you're right.
I can't give him double of what Bogaerts got.
No. I can't see it. I can't see it.
And I honestly, and this is sort of a hot takey thing, but the Mets second baseman, Jeff McNeil, I think he's one of the most underrated players in baseball. He's going to hit over 300 forever. That guy just refuses to not hit the baseball. He never strikes out. I think he hit 320 something last year, and nobody talks about him. Just because he's ugly.
Yeah.
His name's the Flying Squirrel. Nobody likes him. He wasn't a heralded prospect. I love Jeff McNeil. I'll give Jeff McNeil the money.
You know what? And the thing is, Milo wrote a very, very awesome article. And one of the things that he brings up in his article is that basically Lindor wants double what David Wright signed back in 2012.
Can't do it.
No. I mean, that David Wright contract hurts still. Yeah. Hell,
that just ended this year, actually.
Yeah. And you know what? And they're still going to be paying Bobby Bonilla money after this year. So, bruh, I don't know. What do you think about the Mets bringing back the black jerseys?
It's cool.
I like those jerseys, to be honest. I haven't owned a baseball jersey in ever. I actually might get a black Mets jersey. I think
they're cool. Nothing like a good Friday night.
If you're gonna lose, you might as well look good while you lose.
That's true. Hey, what did Tom Berenger say?
That's what I always said about Miami for forever. It's like I feel like Miami has one of the sexiest throwback jerseys in the NFL, and they won like 4 games a year. But I was like, we look good losing.
I prefer their old jerseys to their newer ones. I like the darker aqua green. I don't like this.
Like from the 2000s.
From the 2000s and the
80s up to like 560.
Yeah, I like those.
Yeah. Okay, so there's one that's got like the small dolphin in there, where it's like the retro, like when you talk about 70s, 80s, and 90s, like the Don Shula era, and then the dolphin got a little bit bigger, and they had those really interesting colored jerseys that had a lot going on them in the mid 2000s, and then they switched to the new slick design. I don't care much for the new slick design. I like the classic jerseys. Give me the 70s, the 80s.
Anytime.
But they look good. The point is, they look good losing.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the truth. Anytime that I'm the Dolphins on Madden, I always wear the old jerseys. I never wear the new ones. I hate the new ones. All right.
Although I will say this about Miami. One more thing before we move on. The most disgusting jersey that I've ever seen in my life. It's an NFL 2K5. It isn't all. It isn't. No, it's not even the bright orange. It's worse than the bright orange. The bright orange kind of holds a nostalgic part in my heart. It's kind of disgusting, but I also like it. It's this dark aqua blue, and it's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. It literally is the worst thing. See if you can find it and bring it up. It is the most disgusting jersey I've ever seen.
All right,
in my life. It would feel like the 2004 season. Yeah. See if you can find it. It is absolutely the worst looking jersey I've ever seen in my life. I want to throw up every time I see it. I know we've gotten completely off topic here, but
yeah, we have. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. You know what? We're gonna go to a break. I'm gonna see if I can find it, or I'll see if Bridget can find it, because we have a very hot take. Things got heated in the Vendetta circle, and not just in our Slack where it's always Mordor, but it got hot in Twitter over some discussions about super teams. I'm not mentioning no names, but if you're a ring chaser, someone here in Vendetta don't like you. We'll be back on the Tanndemonium Sports Show here on Vendetta Sports Media. We'll be back. The following is brought to you in partnership by Symbol. Symbol is a new sports marketplace where you can trade shares of professional teams like stocks. You love sports. You interested in fantasy sports without the weekly annoyance of fantasy league upkeep? Then Symbol's the app for you. With Symbol, fantasy sports is going to a whole other level. How it works is simple. You buy Symbol shares for your favorite sim teams on the app. When your sim team wins, you get automatic cash deposits, and you don't lose any money when they lose. That's it. So if you follow trends across football, basketball, and baseball, and you think your team is a sleeper, simply invest in your favorite sim teams on Symbol and watch your virtual portfolio prove you right or wrong. And if you want to get in on the action right away, Vendetta Sports Media's got you covered. Go to symbol.app/Vendetta and use our exclusive promo code Vendetta, and you'll get a $10 bonus when making your first deposit. Symbol, taking fantasy sports to a whole other level. We're back on the Tanndemonium Sports Show here on VendettaSportsMedia.com. I'm joined as always by my co-host Jackson Law and by the boss man himself, Trey Daubert. Now, Jackson was talking about these horrible Dolphins jerseys. Bada bing, man. This is horrible. This is like the Dolphins wanted to be the Bears, but they wanted to keep the green. This is so horrible. Gross. That's just terrible.
Like you keep the green, you keep the orange on there. It doesn't match. It's awful. It's awful. It's gross.
Even Ricky Williams wearing this just doesn't look right. It just doesn't. Now see,
maybe Ricky Williams designed it after he got done smoking.
No, probably. Now, if you want to see beauty, you go to the far left. You see Gesicki down there. You see Fitzpatrick at the top. Those are hot. Those are hot.
Now this is what's up. These are the ones that I like.
They need to just change to this forever. Like this needs to be it.
Yeah, because I do not like the light greens. I really don't. Like, I like these. This is
like the really bright aqua.
Yeah, I don't like even if you're gonna do an alternate, have a black background for it. Now the black will pop, not that brown, or go with this. You know,
see, those were the 2000s era.
Yeah, these are the 2000s era. I mean, these are hard. Like
that was their alternative.
Yeah, this is them trying to be like the Hurricanes, the Miami Hurricanes. But no, not that Bears wannabe crap. No, I don't like it. See, this is the green I like. I like that sort of a darker green. Kenyon Drake. I like the darker green. I like that. I don't like this light green crap. I don't like that. Or this, like, I hate this. I'm not a fan of this.
Miami really needs to up their game.
I agree. I 100% agree. But you know what? We're on something else though. We got other stuff going on. Now, here's the thing. All of you who watch this show or have anything to do with Vendetta at all, you know that our Slack chat gets real heated. It gets heated.
I can't wait till we have an office and we can start filming some of that stuff. That's what I can't wait.
Well, the problem is that Trey wants us to have an office in places that I don't know if I want to be. So I'll be working from home. unless
my goal is just to have some of the stuff that happens in the Slack to be more documented. Like a reality TV show. That's what needs to happen.
Fair enough. So Trey Daubert wants Vendetta Sports Media to double as South Beach Toe is what he wants. But things get very, very heated in our Slack. I was a part of a heated exchange last Friday. Well, it was less an exchange and more of me just flipping shit. I'll own it. I was losing my mind. I was going on. I became Mordor. I became the fires of Mordor. You could have put the one ring on my forehead and it would have melted. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure during that whole thing, there were hobbits on my ceiling trying to throw things at me. Okay. But I do like it when we have heated sports discussions in our Twitterverse. So if you go to media_vendetta on Twitter over the weekend, and I think even Jackson Law was kind of getting in on not a whole bunch, but Jackson Law, you had your fingers in some of it too. Because we were talking, because the topic was super teams in the NBA.
Oh.
And this came about due to the news that came up over the weekend. LaMarcus Aldridge, his contract was bought out by the San Antonio Spurs, and he signed with the Brooklyn Nets. So now the Nets have Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, James Harden, now LaMarcus Aldridge. And an individual, I mean, I don't know. Do we want to name names? Are we naming
Sure,
names?
sure.
Right. So Dakota Hayes, he came out and he was not for it. He wasn't for it. Dakota was not all about it. He threw some serious shade at LaMarcus Aldridge, referring to him as a ring chaser. Am I correct? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Bridget, if you don't mind, Bridget, go on ahead to the Twitter sphere and shoot me some stuff just to make
that's
sure. That's
straight up cancer right there. You do not want to do that.
Yeah. After you look at Twitter, make sure you get yourself a couple of rounds chemo or some hits off the point.
Yes.
Yeah. Take a personal day when you're done.
But so Dakota threw some heat toward LaMarcus Aldridge for ring chasing. Now, Jackson, you feel you have an idea on this. You have a feeling on this. Jackson actually said, "We're talking about this," and I'm like, "Cool, I'm for it." So, Jackson, give me some of your thoughts while I look up some stuff.
Okay, so some of my thoughts. I talked about this a little bit on the latest episode of Cree's Corner with Adam. We discussed super teams a little bit, and it's not that I'm against super teams. It's just I'm accepting that that's the reality. And super teams, honestly, have been a thing for a long time. Everyone likes to point out that the super team era started with the big three in Boston with Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. And yeah, I was going to get to that and say that that's not true. You go back to the 80s and you look at super teams. You look at the Lakers and you look at the Celtics, all the Hall of Fame players that are on their teams. You can even say that the Bulls were a super team because with MJ, Scotty, and Dennis Rodman. So super teams are nothing new. What's changed is they're more player driven than organic. And by organic, I mean drafting and through the trade or through trades, So, and to bring up Dakota again, he wrote an article talking about how Adam Silver pretty much should step in and stop it. I disagree with that 100%. I don't think a commissioner should step in and stop that from happening. The person that, if people don't like it, there's one person to blame, and it's LeBron. And it's not that I'm saying this is LeBron's fault. LeBron ruined the NBA. No, I'm not going to be a Rob Parker and say that.
Damn it, LeBron James.
Or live. But what I think it's that LeBron started something, and now he's kind of seeing the repercussions of that. And everyone's talking about, you see everyone talk about on Twitter, like, oh, all of this to beat LeBron. Well, LeBron was forming a super team to try to beat the big three in Boston, and they really they won, but they didn't win as much as they said they would, or probably what they should have. Lost to an old Spurs team and then Kawhi Leonard put the clamps down, and then lost to Dirk Nowitzki, and again another aging veteran roster that when you look back at it, you're just like, that team beat the Heat in a 7-game series in the finals. And so, I mean, it's kind of LeBron's fault. It's just everyone's taking it to the nth degree, specifically Kevin Durant. So, I'll never fault people for making, personal choices like that. But, the consequence of LeBron leaving, convincing Chris Bosh to come down to Miami and forming a super team is that, well, now on the positive note, players have more leverage. They can't be held hostage by teams anymore. But now we see so much player fluidity, and now they can kind of move wherever they want to. If they want to move, then they're just going to move, and they're not going to really care if their team gets anything in return or not. Now, KD at least agreed to a sign-in trade, so that way D'Angelo Russell and some assets went to Golden State, and then Golden State quickly shipped off of D'Lo. But I disagree with Dakota on that. A couple more points that I'm forgetting all of a sudden. You guys go ahead and chime in. I'm trying to.
Yeah,
trying to find something.
Trey's a fan.
Yeah.
Bandwagon.
You know what? Fuck anybody that says, "Oh, you can't be a ring chaser." I'll be a ring chaser all day. Who says like this idea that, "Oh, you gotta be loyal"? Fuck loyalty. You should always do what's in your best interest, man. If I'm LaMarcus Aldridge and I'm busting my balls for 15 years and I can never get over the hump and I'm old and washed up and somebody throws me the bone, I'm taking the damn bone. Give me all the damn bones. Hell yeah. I want a ring, man.
It's not like,
what would you rather do? Beat your head against the wall? Damn it, I came up short again. Oh, man, what am I doing wrong? Or do I want to pop champagne at the end of the year? That one sounds better to me. If Dakota wants to bang his head against the wall, he can do it. I'm not. I'll take the bone.
Do you think there's sour grapes because he didn't return to Portland?
100%.
It's not like Aldridge. This isn't like 2013, 2014 Aldridge. The DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin that they have, it's not Lob City. It's not like you built a team on 2K and they're all 90 and above players. This is like, I equated it to Adam. It's like if you've ever gotten like 15 years in a 2K rebuild and there's a guy that you like that was maybe in his second or third year, like when the game came out and you're that deep into a rebuild or whatever, and you just sign them to fill a roster spot. That's pretty much what this is. Yeah, they're former All-Stars, but emphasis on the former. They're not going to do, they can contribute,
Jackson,
but they're not, Blake Griffin's not going to be putting up 20 and 15.
Jackson, we did an NBA shorts on it. Does anybody want Blake Griffin? like to pretend that some of these guys are even helpful is crazy.
Poor Blake Griffin. He was man. Blake Griffin was such a relevant player. And now it's just like, who?
I just have such a problem with this idea that, oh my God, how could you join up and team up? Like, fuck, I want the best people here. Like, do I want to make my life harder and hire a bunch of nobodies? Like, if I have a chance to team up with people, I'm going to do it. If I have a chance to better myself, I'm going to do it. Why should I criticize somebody else for doing it? Here's
some of what was going on Twitter. Well, for one, I'm gonna quote. Well, here let's look at some of the tweets first, and then I'm gonna read some of the quotes. So, Scotty and Dakota go at each other. It's interesting to see sometimes. It really is. But Scotty went right at Dakota. If Larry Fitzgerald signed with the Kansas City or Tampa Bay to get a ring after the career he's had, would you be this upset at him? And Dakota comes back. Winning a ring should be a special moment for the players and the city and fans of that team. There's nothing special about getting a ring if you have to go team up with 5 other all-stars.
Crazy.
And now that, and of course, Dakota's
former response
as well was to Shane Davis. Maybe, Shane is even saying maybe he did it because he wants to secure a spot in the Hall of Fame. If he, joins, good players to try to win a championship. And then here's a little bit more I'm going to bring in here.
Can I just say something for like 10 seconds?
Yeah, please.
How about, has anybody said this? You know what? Tom Brady, that was a fake ring because he joined up with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown.
And he brought in Gronk.
Nobody's saying that. Why are the NBA fans toxic for no reason?
And he had Shaquille Barrett and Devin White on the defensive end of the ball. And what's that? Dude's 35. Let him get a damn ring before he retires. For what? So he can boost his pride. Is this all a championship is about nowadays? A player's own pride? Yes. Winning a championship is about pride.
I feel like that's always what it's been about.
Yeah, winning a championship has always been about pride. So you can look at your peers and say, I was the best. And then of course Shane calls out Dakota, as we sort of speculated. Sounds like a salty Blazers fan who's hoping Aldridge went back to Portland. He's like, I could care less if Aldridge came back to Portland. Did I want him back here? Sure. But it's more so the fact that he's ring chasing. And then here's a little bit more. Both Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan are former All-Stars. Okay.
Yeah, key emphasis on the word former.
Yes.
You know,
Blake Griffin
again, this is not. Yeah, Blake Griffin's not jumping over the hood of the car anymore.
No,
he does rim grazers now. He can't do it.
If he's lucky. And so, one of the things that was said, and Dakota says that ring chasing is when you go to a team that's already good enough to win a championship. But
that's so dumb.
So does that mean then that role players that sign with a team that has LeBron, so basically any of the role players that signed with the Lakers in the offseason are ring chasers? Why aren't they just guys trying to get a job?
It's so dumb. These made up rules in the NBA. It's all a bunch of fanboys that are crying. That's all it is.
I mean, that's is that as annoying, Trey, as the unwritten rules of baseball? Is it as annoying as that?
I think it's incredibly, I don't know. I think both are incredibly annoying. Especially this argument, like the Brooklyn Nets have no history. Like name their championship teams. Like
they have not had a championship team since the 70s when they were in Jersey.
Like, what are we doing here? If the Sacramento Kings had all these guys, would anybody be bitching? Like, well, this is unfair. Where are the Sacramento Kings championships? Like, what are we doing? This is what Kevin Durant did. Kevin Durant said, okay, this Warriors team's unfair. Fine, I'll start a new one.
And the thing is that, but how often does this happen, though, where you have star players that want to be the man somewhere, so they go somewhere that they can be, and a lot of people follow them? I mean, like, case in point. Now, let me play devil's advocate just for a second before I give you my feelings and my thoughts.
I could do this for 2 hours.
Okay. Now, what if Dakota meant that it's one of these instances where why couldn't you be the man on a team? Why couldn't you be the one that they build the super team around? Why do you have to be the guy that goes there? And I mean, because I've kind of said that. I looked at it. I looked at, say, Paul Pierce when they got the big three in Boston. And this is what I said back then. I was like, look, Paul Pierce is a good player, but he's not good enough to win on his own. He needs Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen so he can win. So is Paul Pierce a good player? Yes. Is he a Hall of Famer? No, because he needed a super team around him. Did Michael Jordan need a super team? Not for those first three championships. It was him and Scotty, but Scotty was a role player. Scotty didn't start becoming Scotty until Jordan retired. And then when Jordan came back, it was almost like that turns into free agency building. That's not super team building. That's free agency. But I mean, it's just like you said, like both of you guys said, the Celtics of the 80s, they drafted these Hall of Famers. That was the super team. The Celtics did. The Lakers traded for Kareem and built around him.
I think Brian froze.
Did I freeze?
But, I think he did too.
I mean, I can jump in. Like the thing I don't understand is who is good enough to.
No, go ahead.
Who is good enough to do it on their own? LeBron has skipped town 3, 4, 5 times, and some people think he's the greatest basketball player ever.
And that's why I don't consider him the greatest ever. I don't. Is he an amazing player? Yes. Is he an influential player? Yes. Is he the greatest of all time? No, because he had to skip town to win.
Nobody's good enough to do it on. Tom Brady just skipped town.
Right.
Tom Brady just skipped town. I'm not good enough to build this site by myself. I need help.
But all right. So instead of saying to skip town because you can't do it by yourself. Okay. So let me rephrase. To be good enough that they can build a team around you. Case in point, the Bulls were the laughing stock of the NBA. They drafted Michael Jordan and they built around him. The Lakers traded for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and they built around him. The Celtics drafted Kevin McHale. They drafted Larry Bird. I believe they drafted Robert Parrish, and they built
and traded for Robert Parrish.
Oh, they traded for Robert Parrish, but they traded for him and they built. So me personally, would I rather be the guy that is good enough for you to build a championship team around? Yes. Now, if he would have used that as his argument against LaMarcus Aldridge, Trey, would that have felt like, or better yet, Jackson, because this is your baby, this is your segment. Matter of fact, let's take a break, and then I want to get your answer to that because we're right up against it. So my question is, if Dakota would have used the argument of being good enough to build a team around, would that have made his argument against LaMarcus Aldridge better? Don't say anything right now. We're going to take a break here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show, here on Vendetta Sports Media. Go to vendettasportsmedia.com to get all of our content. Make sure you follow us on the YouTube, the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow us, like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you also go to Patreon because we do have a Patreon there, patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media. We'll be right back. And we're back here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show here on vendettasportsmedia.com. Now, gentlemen, Jackson, I'm going to start with you. If Dakota, if young Mr. Haynes had said that he had issue with LaMarcus Aldridge for not being a guy that you could build a championship team around and instead is ring chasing, would that have changed your opinion?
No, because Aldridge is washed.
Okay.
Because you have to look at specifically who it is. And I wanted to bring this up after we were kind of done talking about it. But there was a report today that came out because most people's frustration now is it's not necessarily because of like trades or anything, because when you think about it, the way that the Nets were formed, they had the cap space to sign Katie and Kyrie. They did. And then they had enough capital to convince the Rockets to give up James Harden, even though the Rockets did not get Jared Allen or Karis LeVert for whatever reason. They got Depot, and then they shipped him off, and it eventually turned into Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, and picks that will probably ride the bench or be in the G League. Let's just be honest, okay? But so like more what everyone's upset about is the fact it's the buyout market, and what it is, it's players that I saw Trey shake his head. I know I'm explaining this. It's players that are bought out. They force their way out through a buyout of the contract, and then teams get them for essentially like veteran minimums. And like sometimes you get a player like that that's not even worth the veteran minimum. And, you know, it's a cheap deal for Aldridge and Griffin. You know, they didn't give up anything for him. They're giving them like $2 million a year. Yeah, they're going to give you whatever's worth $2 million a year. You have someone sit on your bench that's worth $2 million a year. You know, that's a steal. That's a steal these days. If you're paying someone $2 million to sit at the end of your bench because NBA contracts are completely outrageous. That's kind of where everything's focused at. And there was a report that came out today that it was talking about the reason why in recent, like basically something that smaller market teams are going to try to put forward now, or at least bring to the forefront in discussion, is that agents of bigger name players that represent some other players that are on in recent years have been bought out or have gone on the buyout market. They are threatening those teams where it's like, hey, if you don't buy out my guy, then I'm not going to bring any more players your way. Like I can sign, I could become the agent of a hot young talent. And when he becomes a free agent, he decides to leave whatever team he's on, and he's coming to me and he's talking about list of teams. I'm going to say, hey, you know, don't go to Boston. You know, they didn't buy out so-and-so, or, you know, don't go to Memphis. Don't go to Memphis. They didn't buy out, you know, a guy, one of my guys that really wanted out. They're not great for business. You know, I'm not going to bring this hot young talent to you and give you the light of day. So that's where I think the anger the past couple of days has been since that report came out, and that really, and because of the NBA landscape right now, it's the rich getting richer. It's why Trey has become an NHL guy and he's no longer an NBA guy. That's
not even why though.
Well, it's because your Celtics have been terrible this year, but the Celtics, they're not like the Celtics aren't going to get a game changer. Like they needed a big, and Drummond was rumored to be a part of it. But at the end of the day, who is Drummond going to pick when he's on the buyout market? Is he going to choose the Celtics, who have been underperforming this year, or is he going to go join the defending NBA champions?
That stuff chose the latter, me, though.
And so that's why I'm not saying that. It doesn't bother me either. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. If the Lakers and the Nets weren't the top two teams, if we were going back like 5 years ago, players were going to Golden State and Cleveland. That's just how it is.
I like the NHL more now because I think the NBA has gotten so soft. There's a foul call every 30 seconds where it's almost impossible to watch half the time.
The NBA has been soft since the early mid 2000s. I mean, after the early mid 2000s, that's when the NBA started getting really, really soft. The last real
zebra show.
The last real
zebra
tough
show
guy,
is what it is, because you're just supposed to pay attention to the dudes in the zebra shirts and the striped shirts.
The last real tough guy of the NBA to me was Kobe. He was the last guy of the Jordan era. Like he was it, after Kobe, that tough NBA era was over. And I mean, and even before, and Kobe came in at the tail end of that, because the NBA at one point was like the Wild West. I mean, I seriously think that after the Malice at the Palace of Auburn Hills, that's when the landscape of the NBA really started to change, and it became a much softer league.
I think we should look at this player movement in a different way.
Okay.
When Giannis retires, what are we going to say about him? Well, he didn't get to any finals. Well, he didn't win any championships.
Right.
Well, he could have left. But people would have been mad if he left. But guess what? Yeah. He's got a better career. So we can criticize guys for not winning, or we can criticize guys for leaving. Why am I going to criticize someone for bettering his situation? It's the same thing with Kevin Durant. I don't want to hear this Kevin Durant skip town for Oklahoma City. What does Oklahoma City have? First of all, the Seattle Sonics drafted him. Oklahoma City did not draft him. Seattle did. So he's supposed to show loyalty to a franchise that moved towns while he was on the roster. And then they wouldn't pay the luxury tax for James Harden, but he's supposed to be loyal back to them. And he's supposed to play with Russell Westbrook, who's the biggest cancer in the NBA history. That's what you guys want. Sorry, not good enough for me. Not good enough.
No, Trey, we've had this
back to the
conversation 100 times. It's not the fact that he left; it's who he went to. He went to a 73.
Who cares?
That's what people are upset about.
Who cares? He wants to live in California and play with Steph Curry. I'd do it too.
It don't rain in Southern California. Well,
I'm just saying that's what people are upset about. That's what they're upset about. He joined a 73-win team. They didn't need him. Yeah, they had the.
Here's the thing, though.
Go ahead.
Real quick, Trey. So back to my question, though, Trey, if it would have been, if the argument would have been worded as he wasn't good enough to build a winner around, would that argument have had more weight with you?
No, because he wasn't good enough to win one. So now he's old and he wants to get one. Okay. LaMarcus Aldridge is never going to be an A on a championship team. When was that going to happen? Mm-hmm. It wasn't even going to be a 2 on a championship team.
And you know what? I agree with both of you guys. If LaMarcus Aldridge was the guy, then Portland would have been able to build a winner around him. San Antonio would have had championships with him on the roster. LaMarcus Aldridge went to San Antonio as a replacement for Tim Duncan, and just wasn't it. He's not. Now, here's the thing. LeBron is good enough to build a team around. Granted, he needs other guys with him. He needed to go to Dwayne Wade's team and kind of be sort of a faux second fiddle to Dwayne Wade, because that first year, that was still Dwayne Wade's team. They were learning how to work together. The thing is that when they won, it was because LeBron was finally coming into his own, and you had trains coming through, and Dwayne and Bosh were able to,
like, right out my window.
You know what? It wasn't just father-in-law though. So your father-in-law wasn't driving the penis mobile. So
no.
but the thing was though, is that when LeBron left Miami to go back to Cleveland, Cleveland built that team around him.
Yeah, they were loaded.
Yeah, they were loaded because he was there. And then when he went to LA, the Lakers got loaded because he was there. Really think that Anthony Davis would have gone to the Lakers if LeBron wouldn't have been there?
No.
Nah. He probably would have gone to Golden State, because Steph was there and KD was there and Draymond Green is there. So
speaking of, did you see the reports today? Brian Windhorst put out that LeBron is trying to recruit Steph to come to the Lakers.
That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. And I'll tell you why. Steph Curry owns Oakland, California.
No one said, everyone said that KD to the Warriors was impossible. And here we are, like 5-6 years after that.
Curry's going to retire a Warrior.
Yeah, because the thing is, though, is that I'm going to be honest about KD right now. KD, in a lot of ways, for as good as he is, no one's been able to build a winner around him.
They're doing it right now.
They're doing it now, but when he went to the Nuggets, that was still Steph's team. I mean, not the Nuggets. When he went to the Warriors, that was still Steph Curry's team.
I also think they would have won a title if their point guard wasn't Russell Westbrook with the Thunder.
I agree with. I can agree with that. I can speculate with that and agree. But my whole point is that Steph Curry, that team is his. Guys don't just leave teams that are theirs, especially if they've already won titles. LeBron left Cleveland because there was no way he was going to win there. And then he came back when they were ready to build around him.
And he left again because it was his own fault, because he convinced the management to give out these ludicrous contracts like Richard Jefferson and Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
And they completely overpaid for those guys.
$85
and it's
million.
Like, oh, you guys are bankrupt now? Yeah, you guys are bankrupt now? You're like $50 million in a luxury tax? Okay, LeBron. I'm going to go to LA.
LeBron makes his own messes.
Yeah.
And never gets blamed for it.
No. Well, he does and he doesn't. I think that he got so much scrutiny for the decision that I think people are like, all right, we gave him enough. And then when he got to Miami and they flopped, that first 2 years, they're like, okay, it's enough. But
not one, not two, not six, not seven.
How many did they win?
Just not two? 5.
Two.
Just 2.
They won 2.
And it should have been 1.
It's weird to say just 2, but when you were that stacked of a team and with all those promises you made, just 2 is just 2.
As you're doing your Chippendales dance on the like you're the Cobra Kai at ValleyCon. No, but I mean, honestly, I don't get. I really feel like the viscera against LaMarcus Aldridge. It's, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just calling it as I see it. I think it's sour grapes from a homer on one end. And I think on another end, it's just people, like you said, Trey, that they're not blaming LeBron for this newest incarnation of the super team. So they have to throw the viscera at the latest name. The bottom line is, if you're 35 years old and you have not won a title by now, you are not going to be the catalyst of a championship team. Not unless you have some crazy career resurgence. And that doesn't happen in the NBA. When Robert Parrish won that one title with the Chicago Bulls, he was not a key contributing factor to that team. But I don't besmirch him for going to the Bulls to win a final title. I don't besmirch Tom Brady for going to Tampa Bay. because at the end of the day, it is about pride. It is about looking at your hand and seeing that ring on your finger that says that for that season that is stenciled on that piece of metal, you were on the team that was the best. I don't care if you were the leading scorer, the MVP, or the bench warmer that didn't even average 2 points a game. You were on the best team, and no one can take the moniker of champion from you.
I have an easy solution for all the people that want to cry about this. You want to hear my solution?
Yes, I do.
Let's make it 8 teams, and all the stars pick where they want to play.
I have another idea. I like that. I like that.
8 teams. What if the players told us they only want to play for the big market teams? Fine. We'll make it 8 teams. All the small market fans that want to cry about it, they don't have a team anymore.
There you go. I'm okay with that. So that means you have 2 LA teams. You have 1 Oakland, California team. You have who else is a big market team?
Houston, Dallas.
So you have Houston, Dallas.
Yeah, it would basically
Lakers,
be
Clippers.
It would be East Coast, West Coast,
literally
Texas, and Chicago. That would be it.
Wow. Chicago's still considered a big market team? Okay.
Chicago's like the 3rd biggest market in the NBA.
All right. So it would be Lakers, Clippers, Mavericks, Warriors, Rockets. Now you said 8 teams total, or is it 8 teams per conference?
8 teams total.
All right. So Mavericks. All right. So let's go with Texas. So you got
one Texas team.
Mavericks.
Yeah, 1 Texas.
All right. So Mavericks, Lakers, Clippers, Golden State, Chicago, New York, Boston, Miami.
Done. There's the league.
There's your league.
I'd probably go Philly, but yeah, Miami would be another good choice.
All right. So
all right, so we make it 10 teams. Houston and Philly. There's your league.
All right, so we have
okay, there we go.
So we have a 10-team league.
There's your league.
And then you've got the G League of everyone else.
Yep, and then the players pick where they want to go. There's your answer.
Here's another thing we could do. And whenever I would play sports games and I would do a fantasy draft, I would say that because the contracts got completely out of control and small market teams couldn't compete, that the owners and the Players Association agreed to just void all contracts and do one big draft. And that was it. And wherever you go, that's where you are. But now, could this also be, gentlemen? This is the negative aspect of the NBA being the Players League. Because the NBA players have more power than any other sport. Name me any other sport of the major sports where the players have this much control.
International soccer.
All right. So, and now international soccer, don't they have something, or is it just different because this is, the European countries and, it's a different culture?
They sort of pick where they want to go all the time.
Right.
They'll tell teams 2-3 years early, hey, you either have to send me to another team or I will leave for nothing.
So basically,
because you can't trade in international soccer, you have to buy players. Everything's like if I want Ronaldo, I have to say, hey, Juventus, I will offer you $100 million. Send me Ronaldo.
So how much do you pay Ronaldo?
You have to pay for the transfer fee and then you have to pay his salary. That's how it works.
So
soccer.
Yeah. So it'd be $100 million just for the rights.
Yeah.
To get a contract with Ronaldo.
So he doesn't see that money.
No,
you're just paying for his rights.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that's why these teams are so profitable, because they can get a guy for like $20,000-$30,000, and he turns out to be the next Messi, and then he's not going to resign with you because you suck. Yeah. And so then you sell him off to like PSG for like $200 million, and you make bank.
So then how much do they make? How much do the players make?
A lot.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But my question still remains. Is this the negative aspect of the Players League?
I think if Adam Silver wanted to shut this down, he would. But the bottom line is I think people like watching these teams, whether they want to or not. The people that hate these super teams, they really want to tune in to make sure they lose. And the people that love these teams, they're going to make sure they watch too. So I think if Adam Silver actually had a problem with it, he'd shut it down, but he doesn't, and he won't.
Yeah, and I think at this point, the players have so much power and it's so profitable. Why shake the boat? Why rock the boat when you got a good thing going? So,
and the other 30 or like the other 28 teams, they hate it because it's not them. But if it was them, they'd be fine with it.
And at the end of the day, it still makes them money because people are going to pay when they visit your stadium.
Yep,
people are going to pay. So let's do this then, and we're almost up against it. Is this, and I'm not trying to pick, I'm not, but we've been analyzing this. We've been analyzing this argument. Is this being old-fashioned, looking at basketball in an old-fashioned way? Is this trying to maybe wanting basketball to sort of fall in line with, say, the NFL? Or is this just misguided, a misguided look?
I think the people that are anti-ring chasing are definitely the boomers. They're definitely the boomers.
Okay, boomers. No matter what era you were born in, if you're mad at ring chasers, you're a boomer. That's what we're going with?
Yeah.
Back in my day, we just sucked. We didn't go ring chasing. If we sucked, we sucked.
Back in my day, I just preferred to be miserable. Yeah.
Back in my day, there was no free agency. Whoever you were drafted to, you stayed there. The only draft we had was Vietnam.
That was good. That's almost like I recently watched basketball for my film podcast, and they're like, I want to where players can't leave teams. Back when I was a kid, when the players are treated like indentured servants. Exactly. So I guess that means then that folks like Dakota would rather have basketball, and they can't change teams. They're just stuck. There's no expansion. There's none of that. Everyone just has to stay where they are.
Think about the Blake Griffin situation. He signs a max contract with the Clippers. They trade him, a month or two into the season to Detroit? Nobody said a word. Nobody felt bad for Blake Griffin. Nobody cared about Blake Griffin. Let's just let him rot in Detroit. But when he hits the open market and says, oh, I want to go to the Brooklyn Nets, people are outraged. And he signed for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, it's not like he took that $100+ million with him.
No.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, honestly, look, this is sports. This is where we're at. And you can either, you don't have to like it. And sure, go ahead and speak against it. But you know what? Don't expect folks to share your opinion. And when because honestly, at the end of the day, do you really think LaMarcus Aldridge gives a damn about what some guys from Vendetta Sports Media think about what he's done? No, he's laughing his way to the bank anyway, because he's made his big money and now he's just paying the taxes. Let's be real. This money that he's going to be making in Brooklyn, that's just taking care of some tax issues. That's it. He don't care. And he don't care if some guy from Vendetta Sports Media is mad and calling him a ring chaser. Because you know what he's going to say?
He would have made
checks, bitch.
Antonio, no state tax in Texas.
Yeah.
He's losing money to go to Brooklyn.
That's true. He said, I might be chasing them rings, but I'm chasing that check, bitch. Don't care. And when I have this ring, it'll be one more championship ring than you got. And that's what a lot of those guys will tell you.
Yep.
It's one more than what you have, or two more than what you have, depending on how long he stays there, and they build a dynasty where they win the next couple of years. If you enjoyed what you heard here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show, and you enjoy the content that you get with Vendetta Sports Media, give us some support. Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media. Not.com, just Vendetta Sports Media. Go there. We have, 4 or 5 different tiers of membership. Definitely, we would appreciate it. Help to fund the Renegade Sports Network. We are the island of misfit sports junkies.
Yes, we are.
And hey, you're not going to be able to network with that attitude, sir. Make sure you Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, Vendetta Sports Media, vendettasportsmedia.com. We're all over the place. Trey, where can folks find you besides on Vendetta Sports Media Networks? Where can we find you on Twitter?
I am just Trey Daubert on Twitter. Producer Alex runs my TikTok. It's the same username. I have that too. I do have an Instagram, but I don't really ever use it. That's pretty much it.
Fair enough. You can find us on Tanndemonium VSM on Twitter, and you can get a lot of our stuff on the Facebook group as well. I also share them to my personal Facebook. So make sure you do that. Check it out. We're going to have clips of last week's episode available as well. Next week, we're hoping to have another special guest. If we're able to make that happen, it would be great. We're going to be talking to Trey at least at minimum once a month, talking baseball, because we're coming into baseball season. Baseball is Trey's forte, even though he's becoming an NHL guy now. But we're also going to have Emma Brown on the show next week as well, talking some NHL, and we'll go from there. Maybe we'll bring some more stuff from the Vendetta vaults. I figure at this point, man, there's no point in keeping stuff behind the scenes. Trey likes it when Trey wants to have a Vendetta reality show anyway. So, I mean, why the hell not? With that being said, thanks for watching. I'm Brian Tann. He's Jackson Law. That's Trey Daubert. Stupid cameras. And I'm Bryan Tann. This is the Tanndemonium Sports Show. We'll see you next week. Oh, and before I forget, this summer, it's going to get real interesting on this show. Stay tuned for more news to come.